As she waits for her prey to die, Velvet adjusts her fangs. They can really get in the way sometimes.
Black mambas have very few enemies in the wild, but she's about to meet her nemesis. The slender mongoose, a notorious snake killer. They may look like featherweights in the ring, but these are two of the most lethal predators on the planet. The mongoose has razor-sharp teeth and a lightning speed. But one bite from a mamba can kill 15 grown men. So imagine what it can do to a 5-pound mongoose. The mamba is lethal, but she's not tough. She relies on her venom to sedate her victims and immobilize their weapons. Here's the kicker. The mongoose has an antidote to her potion. The toxins in snake venom attach to chemical receptors in their victims and block communications between nerves and muscles. Mongoose receptors have mutated so that venom simply bounces off the muscle cells. He's literally immune to danger. The mongoose MO is to dance circles around his prey until it's exhausted. And then, the kill shot. One swift snap to the back of the head, and the spine is severed. The snake's still alive, but paralyzed. Her muscles twitch, but her bite is gone. For the mongoose, the reward outweighs the risk. A 7-foot snake is a hearty meal for a pint-sized predator.
Pythons have lived in Africa for millions of years, long before humans arrived on the scene. The snake we see today has changed little from its prehistoric forebears. It's among the world's most primitive snakes. The small, thorn-like projections on their lower body, known as pelvic spurs, are thought to be vestiges of a time when these animals had hind legs. This is Squeeze. A pair of hind legs might actually come in handy right now, as she's weighed down by eggs inside her. They've grown to the point where it's hard to make much progress. Each egg weighs about as much as a billiard ball. That's around 50 billiard balls she's been hauling around for weeks. She's ready to lighten her load, but she can't just dump them anywhere. She's been searching for the right spot for weeks. This hollow at the base of an old silver oak tree could provide shelter from the elements, hide her eggs from predators, and keep them at a constant temperature. For an animal capable of such massive displays of power, she can be surprisingly maternal. She arranges her eggs in a pile and coils around them tightly.
The false smooth snake is a small, venomous lizard hunter. It uses its keen sense of smell to locate prey in the craggy rocks. The snake usually stays above ground, but it's caught wind of the worm lizard. The lizard retreats into its narrow tunnel, using chemical markers to find its way around. Deeper they go. But the snake is perhaps a little too well fed, and his girth stops him up. It's a narrow escape for the lucky lizard. Outmaneuvered underground, the snake regroups in the warm sun. Waiting for easier prey to wander by. The serpent blends into the terrain. Just like Alhambra blends into the rock that forms its foundation.
As the summer draws to a close, the creatures of the Western Ghats seek out shelter to prepare for the rainy months ahead. A rat snake heads deep into the forest. But Raja's on a different mission. It's been more than a month since he last ate. The rat snake slides right into his trap. Raja's fangs take their deadly hold, shooting a dose of neurotoxic venom into his quarry. His fangs gather up the meal step by step and inch by inch, feeding it down his long, straight digestive tract. King Cobras can't chew. It's all in the gulp.
Morning turns to afternoon. As the hours tick by, Nagaina still lies in wait. Finally, the spectacled cobra unfurls from its hiding place and cautiously ventures down. It seems about to make good its escape, but then pauses for a drink. Nagaina makes her move. This time, the spectacled cobra must stand and fight. Flaring its hood and displaying its aggressive markings, the smaller snake tries to exaggerate its size. But it is totally outmatched. Nagaina won't relent. Both have powerful venom. But Nagaina's armor is thicker, and she's immune to the venom of snakes on which she preys. The odds are stacked in her favor. strikes and delivers a fatal bite. The large dose of injected poison works quickly. It's a neurotoxin, causing paralysis, suffocation, and death in minutes. The spectacled cobra tries to twist its way free. But Nagaina has too strong a grip. She begins to eat, swallowing her prey whole and still alive. Inch by inch, Nagaina's fangs draw her victim's body down her throat. All 4 feet of it. A meal this size would typically satisfy her for up to a month. But this one will have to stretch quite a bit longer. She won't eat again until she's laid her eggs and incubated them through to hatching. Which means no more hunting for several months.
In the wild, animals create pathways through the bush known as game trails. For creatures like tiny rodents to the world's largest land mammals, these trails provide easier movement and often lead to water holes or good feeding grounds. And it's along paths like these that puff adders will position themselves to wait for prey. But when unsuspecting victims, weighing thousands of pounds, tread too close for comfort, a little 13-pounder puff adder can defend itself in a mighty way. It doesn't seem possible that a bite from a tiny snake could pierce the skin of a rhino, let alone do any serious damage. But here's evidence to the contrary. A bite caused such severe necrosis on the leg of this black rhino that her entire foot rotted off, leaving behind just bone fragments and flaps of decaying flesh. Trauma like this would render most animals immobile, ensuring a slow and painful death due to starvation and septicemia. It's an extreme example of what happens when a puff adder bite is left untreated.
Tyrannosaurus, one of history's most fearsome megapredators. But now, a new discovery joins the ranks of killer carnivores. And this one was a genuine giant. 48 feet long, weighing over a ton, the largest prehistoric snake ever found, TITANOBOA. T-Rex and TITANOBOA lived in different times and on separate continents. But what if these two monsters met in a battle to the death? T-Rex brings to the fight a bone-crushing jaw, a bite force nearly twice a great white shark's, powerful legs, and a thrashing tail. TITANOBOA's attack didn't depend on poisonous venom. It killed by constriction. And this mega serpent squeezed with a crushing 400 pounds per square inch of pressure, equivalent to being squished with the weight of 3 Eiffel Towers. How would this death match conclude? Difficult to say. If T-Rex got in a swift bite, it could mortally wound the snake. But would the right ambush, Titanoboa might trip up the T-Rex and succeed in overpowering the great lizard king.
Today, Raja is ready to take it to the next level. He descends to rouse his bride. Hannah exits cautiously. Today, the king is bold and eager. His sudden change in attitude triggers her into a submissive coil. She presents her body to him for inspection. He's picking up all the right signs that she's receptive. While Hannah's ritual is a slinky display, male king cobras are far less subtle. Headbutting his queen is the cue that he's ready to mate. The snakes bind themselves together in a tight embrace. Under their leafy canopy, they may lie like this for hours as he fertilizes her. They will mate several times over the coming days.
Nearly 3 months have passed since Nagaina mated with the village male. It's now the end of May, and she'll soon be ready to lay. Most species of snake seek out a cavity or an abandoned burrow in which to lay their eggs. But not Nagaina. King cobras are the only snakes that build a nest. It's a unique skill that allows Nagaina to select the perfect spot to give her young the greatest chance of survival. On a slope, near the base of a tree, her nest is shaded from the hot sun. But more importantly, it won't get waterlogged by the monsoon rain. She's been hard at work for more than a week now. Coiling her body, she steadily amasses fallen leaves and twigs, drawing them together into a pile. It's a delicate process that could take a couple of weeks to complete. The rustling leaves attract attention. A rat snake, on the lookout for rodents rummaging in the undergrowth. Approaching the lair of a snake killer is a dangerous mistake. But with an abdomen full of eggs, Nagaina has zero appetite. She has only one thing on her mind. At last, the nest is ready. More than a foot high and 3 feet wide, it's a masterpiece of engineering. Inside, Nagaina creates a small chamber in which she lays a clutch of up to 40 eggs. Once covered with more leaves, the chamber will stay at an almost constant 80 degrees and 90% humidity for the next 3 months. Her work complete, Nagaina stands guard, a queen on her throne. She won't budge until her babies are ready to hatch. The mongoose and wild boar that roam this forest would love to feast on her eggs. But they'd be foolish to try. Nothing is going to challenge this mother when it comes to her babies.
As we arrive, we can see the snake in front of the house.
Quick, it's getting over the wall.
It's a massive reticulated python.
Watch out. Watch it.
They can grow to more than 19 feet in length, the longest snake in the world. These pythons kill by constriction, wrapping themselves around their prey and suffocating them to death. They've been known to take pets, livestock, and even children. So we've got to get this snake out of here as soon as possible.
It's wrapping itself around me.
With up to 15,000 muscles, you do not want this snake getting a hold of you.
Okay. Yes. Right, in. Whew. Nicely done.
After wrestling the snake into a sack to keep it and us safe, we stop in at the local wildlife park to pick up a crate large enough to comfortably contain it.
Okay, find the head first.
Yeah, there it is. I can see its head.
Putih, you grab the head.
You want me to get the head?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right. All right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go, 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 go.
Yeah. Wait.
Just grab.
Where do I hold it? On here? Okay. No.
You okay?
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
This is my first time handling a snake of this size.
Got it.
And then you pull out.
Got it.
Re, tolong Re.
Yeah.
Kenapa ni? Okay. Okay.
And now we're just going to transfer the snake into this crate so it's got a little bit more room to maneuver. And it's trying to wrap itself around me. And now, what
Its strength is phenomenal.
Yes. I survived. Snake wrangler. Now load it onto the car.
Yeah.
And drive it back into the forest.
Yep.
So, Ben, I've decided to give the snake a name.
What name?
I'm calling it Monty.
Monty.
Monty Python?
Monty Python.
Get it?
With Monty loaded up, next stop, a protected reserve in the heart of Borneo, several hours' drive from the city, where this snake will have plenty of space to live out its life.
So we've just arrived to the edge of the forest reserve, and now it's time to release this beautiful python back into the jungle. Does this look like a good place, Ben?
Yeah, good. I think it's okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Okay. Am I going for the head again, or are you going for the head?
The head is always yours.
Always me.
The python may be a constrictor, but it can still deliver a powerful bite.
Whoa. He's a bit feisty. It's been quite a long journey.
Okay, Putih.
Yeah.
Grab that head.
Grab the head.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. I think, maybe you just stay with the head. It looks like you've got a firm grip. I don't want to ruin that. So now the time has come to release Monty back into this ancient rainforest and far away from human developments as possible, and hopefully never to be seen again. So let's release him. Oh, is he coming back for us? No. Another job well done, fellas. That was a feisty snake. I'm gonna quite miss him. I've grown kind of attached to old Monty.
Any number of potential prey could venture past. Velvet isn't picky. She'll eat anything from rodents and birds to small antelope and monkeys. A slight miscalculation makes no difference. Once she's set her sights on a target, there's no chance for escape. Her strike isn't the fastest in the snake world, but at over 20 feet per second, it does the job. The shock of the attack stuns the bird, while the complex venom cocktail rapidly floods its body. As she waits for her prey to die, Velvet adjusts her fangs. They can really get in the way sometimes. Within 10 minutes, it's all over, and lunch is ready. Eating is a specialized process. Velvet unhinges her jaw to allow her to open her mouth wide enough. Using rows of teeth to latch on, she drags her prey to a safe place where she can eat in peace.
Baby mambas are notoriously nervous and highly aggressive. But at this vulnerable age, they are still easy prey for mongoose, honey badgers, and predatory birds, all of which have immunity to a dose of snake venom. Over the coming months, the hatchlings will grow constantly and rapidly, and by a year, the females will be ready to mate and the males will be fighting for breeding rights. For now, their pin-sharp focus is finely tuned on their first mission: predation. Mambas prefer warm-blooded prey like small mammals and birds. During the course of its life, this mamba will learn how much venom is necessary in order to immobilize each specific kill. Sometimes bypassing venom altogether if the prey is small and helpless. Just days after birth, the baby mambas have already proven themselves as adept hunters, capable of fending for themselves and taking their rightful place in Mamba Valley.
The 3-month-long mating season is almost over. As she approaches the village, the male flicks his tongue, searching for small scent particles in the air. He may be able to smell her presence. But her heady cocktail of pheromones has attracted another admirer. A second male has picked up her trail in the forest and followed her into the village. And he's been spotted. King Cobras can see prey up to 300 feet away. The village male sees the intruder approaching, and he is fiercely territorial, especially in mating season. He moves to intercept the trespasser. The two males size each other up, rearing a third of their bodies off the ground. They flare their trademark hoods in a display of aggression. Biting would be futile and a waste of the precious toxin, as their own powerful venom has little effect on other king cobras. Instead, their bodies entwine in a wrestling match. The aim is to force their opponent's head to the ground. Oblivious to everything around them, they vie for dominance. Their brawl carries them out of the village and into the forest. They will fight as long as they have the strength. Winning and earning the right to breed is all that matters. After 5 hours of combat, the intruding challenger accepts defeat and slinks off into the forest. His dominance established, the village male now has his chance with Nagaina.
This is Squeeze, an 8-year-old rock python propelled by the same primordial needs that drove her ancestors in the days when dinosaurs walked the earth. She can hunt in any terrain, at any time of day, for virtually any prey. She hasn't eaten in 2 weeks, for good reason. She's carrying a clutch of just developing eggs. She can't eat a big meal, not while they're gestating inside. But she's hungry. A snack would be just the thing. Something that in her sluggish state might not require a lot of work. She waits for nightfall. Like most snakes, the rock python has poor vision, but that doesn't mean it can't find you. Squeeze can sense body heat with incredible accuracy. The scales on her lips have pit organs, which are full of heat-sensitive receptors. Nerves carries signals from the receptors to the brain, where they're converted into images. Squeeze is looking for something just the right size, like Goldilocks. Not too small. A frog is hardly worth the effort. Not too big. It would be hard, even for a rock python, to swallow a cow. But here's something just right. This rabbit has come to dine on some tasty cabbages. Unfortunately for the rabbit, the cabbages are perfect cover for Squeeze. The rabbit's acute hearing is legendary, but it seems oblivious to the approach of this stealth hunter. It takes a lot of energy to digest a whole rabbit. She'll be very sluggish for a few days. Time for a siesta. The mole snake isn't venomous, but it's a powerful constrictor and can inflict painful bite wounds that can be fatal if they become infected. Grit's learned a lot, but this is his ultimate test. The snake targets the head, the badger's weak spot. But where another animal might run off to find easier prey, this is a honey badger. Nothing scares him. He keeps on coming. The snake tries to run. But once the honey badger has locked onto its target, it doesn't back down. Once the badger immobilizes the snake's jaws, it's game over.